today's test. So, number one, two complementary angles in an 11:7 ratio. What is the difference between their measures? Complementary angles add up to what? 90. Alright, so angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90. Alright, does that show knowledge? Absolutely. So now I'm going to take the ratio, which is 11, 7, and I'm going to assign any variable I want. W. There you go. That's what I would need to see on a quiz or test for work. I don't need to see the first step. That gives you the structure. So there you go. So that shows knowledge. So let's say you have a problem like this and it's worth 10 to 12 points. That is showing 1/3 of the points because you're showing the geometric knowledge. Now, algebra, what's 11W plus 7W? 18W. And then how do you get rid of a multiplication by 18? Divide, and W equals 5. Alright, so there's your algebraic knowledge. Good? Now, what do you need to do? Plug it back in. So if I plug it into the W there, I get 11 times 5, which is 55. 7 times 5, which is 35, and now I have to measure the angles. Again, showing knowledge. If you do all that and don't get the right answer, that's because you didn't read the directions. What is the difference between their measures? What is the last thing I have to do? Subtract. So 20 degrees. So there you go. Make sense? Any issues? All right, next one, two supplementary angles. What's the difference? Well, supplementaries add up to what? 180. 5x plus 13x equals 180. What's 5x plus 13x? 18x. 18x equals 180. X is equal to 10. Now, if I plug it back in, what's 5 times 10? 50. What's 13 times 10? 130. What does the problem ask for? The measure of the what angle? Obtuse. Which one of those is obtuse? 130. Again, showing knowledge. Alright, so the test is worth 125 points. That doesn't mean there's twice as many questions as a quiz. It just means there's more parts to each one. And this is how we do it, by adding different parts that show knowledge. Alright? Is linear pair a special type of supplementary angle? Yeah, so what do they also add up to? 180. So 3m plus 18m equals 180. 21m equals 180. And I get 60 over 7. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the exact answer. Fractions with a denominator of 7 are fantastic because it takes 6 digits for them to repeat themselves. So if you're asked for the right answer and you want the exact answer, you have to remember that that is 8.571,428, all of which repeats. Notice in all caps it is what? Exact. Now, I take the 3 multiplied by 60 over 7. I take the 18 and multiply by 60 over 7. Is there anybody who needs help turning those into proper fractions that are in exact form using a calculator? So you're all good with that. Because a bunch of people put 0.3 on the Friday's quiz. I just want to make sure we understand each other.
Wait, what?
So several people put 0.3 instead of the 0.3 with a bar over it, or one of the algebraic ones. They lost a half a point that we'll talk about either today or tomorrow. So everybody's good with plugging that in the calculator and getting the exact answer? I absolutely can. Thank you. So what you do is you do 3 times 60 over 7. So I go to my calculator and I do 3 times 60 divided by 7. I enter it as a division problem. I hit enter. It gives me that, which is a decimal equivalent, 25.714. This is what you do. Anything to the left, you write down. So see how 25 is to the left of it? So I write down 25. Good? I then go back to my calculator and I take that part away. In other words, I just do minus 25. And then I just have the decimal part of it. Now I go to the calculator and I hit math, which is right below the green button. And fractions next to number 1. So I hit 1, I hit enter, and it'll turn it into the equivalent fraction for me, which is 5 over 7. So my final answer is 25 and 5 over 7. All right, good? Then the other one would be 154 and 2/7. So make sure we know what exact is, especially as we enter the realm of radicals in a moment. If it asks you for an angle measure, you kind of have to learn the proper fraction. So if it just asks for x, you'd be fine, or m in this case. So if they're just asking for a variable value or something like slope, feel free. That's fine. All right, but when they're asking for an angle measure, you kind of have to do it. All right. Now, new knowledge. The two acute angles of a right triangle are in a 13 to 11 ratio. So we're talking about angles A and B in that diagram. From Thursday and Friday's work, angles of a triangle always add up to 180. So if the one angle is 90 degrees, then the remaining two angles are also add up to 90 degrees, making them complementary. So A plus B equals 90 degrees. Everybody good with that? So now I got 13x plus 11x equals 90 degrees. 24x equals 90, and x equals 3.75. Why is that one okay to write as a decimal? Because it's a terminating decimal. It stops there. Then what can you do with that 3.75? Plug it back in. So if I do 13 times 3.75, I get 48.75. And if I do 11 times 3.75, I get 41.25. All right? I know sometimes I go very fast. I don't want to go fast through these. Everybody good with that idea and all the components to it? Because you're understanding angles of a triangle, you're understanding the complementary part, you're understanding the ratio part. Good? All right, now for the last one, the big finale. Given an exterior angle measuring 120 degrees. So that's what an exterior angle is. It forms a linear pair with the remote interior angle. The two remote interior angles are in a 7 to 5 ratio. So 7x and 5x. Everybody good with that? You learned on Friday that the two remote interior angles, or Thursday, sorry, Friday was the quiz, that the sum of the two remote interior angles equals the exterior angle. So 7x plus 5x equals 120. Yes, sir?
Could 7 be like the bottom corner?
Nope. Oh, you mean the switch? Absolutely. Sorry, I thought you meant bottom when you were going there. So I cut you off. I apologize. I should have done it. So they can be switched. Absolutely. Won't affect your answer. What's 7x and 5x total up to? 12x. Divide by 12, you get what? 10. Plug it back in. What angle measures you get? 50 and 70. But again, all caps, they don't want the interiors. What do they want? So you have to extend the lines and use what? Linear pairs. So this one would be 110, and that one would be what? 130. If you do it correctly, the exterior angle should add up to 360. All right, and we'll discover that later in the year. Boom shakalaka.